Hey everybody, so I'm back with another video with a very heavy heart and just going over some few things today with you guys. As you can see that I'm wearing makeup and hair and everything, and it's actually my first time really expressing myself through beauty essentials more, even though it's what I love, and beauty has always been important to me. But as we can tell, beauty is subjective, and we all want to feel like somebody. So this is my way of gathering my confidence. But that's not even what I want to talk about. Today's topic is a little bit about my personal inner world. And I just want to talk about clutter and what it means to me. I have been in a state of chaos. Like I said, I was purging a lot and I've been trying, but it's hard to do it when you're working a lot. And I've just constantly been trying to clear out clutter from my mind and from my home, and just kind of getting rid of stuff that I no longer need. Clutter has really just absolutely crushed my spirit, and it's actually become more of a boulder than anything else because it's held me back from a lot of other stuff. I think I use clutter in the same way that people use drugs or alcohol. And even like for me to end one one addiction for another, it's kind of like substituting because I'm dealing with some other things like diet, fitness, and all that stuff. So I've just been trying to get rid of my clutter, and I've decided to take it to YouTube and hold myself accountable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop complaining about my situation and I'm going to take action. I'm going to clear out my clutter. I'm gonna journal about it. So one thing I can do is I can journal, and that actually helps a lot. Another thing I can do is kind of create lists because organization is extremely important. Now, before I was so much into cleaning that I would just want to. I'd have these books on organization, and I was like, one day I'm just gonna read these, and everything's gonna make sense, and I'm going to be such an organized person. But the more I live, the more mental accumulation of baggage leads to an excessive amount of physical baggage and products that I hold on to, sentimental stuff that I no longer need. And getting rid of my clutter is going to be one of the hardest things in my life because I've always been defined by stuff. We live in a materialistic society. Like every week on Amazon, I order something. Um, I'm not here to confess my dirty laundry and then act like nothing happened the next day, because you're gonna get off the screen and you're gonna continue living your life as normal. But what will happen is that for people who do struggle with like stuff and the anxiety, because we hoard stuff because of anxiety. Um, so those things actually add to clutter. But it won't affect you, but it would affect the person who is hoarding, such as myself or anybody else who's absolutely in clutter. I am scared to watch those shows, Hoarders Anonymous and stuff, because like everything I find, I try to grab on with my tentacles. And I just try to find a use for it, even if it's a slip of paper. Like there was a time that I had issues throwing away recycling, like papers that are part of recycling material. Like I would want to keep them and think that maybe I can use them for something. So that is called hoarding. And I've realized that it's a problem and that I might just need to go to Hoarders Anonymous. Just the same way some people go to um, meetings for like, drug recovery, or they go into rehabilitation. last time I checked, there was no rehabilitation centers for hoarders. So I am on my own, and so I'm just kind of I'm just I'm trying to find out the reasons for my clutter and try to understand the somatics and the long history of psychological stresses or just the everyday stresses that make me like hoard, because I'm not in a um fight or flight mode anymore. Like, I'm not in survival mode anymore. So why do I hold on to clutter? And one thing I think is that it gives me emotional warmth that I don't seek from other sources. And I truly feel that that is not healthy. Um, for a long time, it was like that with my relationship with food as well. I would simply just continue to eat as much as I could until the point of satiation where I was full, but I just kept eating. And that's because we people who identify with clutter, and I'm not trying to start like a cult for it, but it's just I know I'm not the only one who struggles with clutter, and I think it's to fulfill certain emotional holes in us that other people are not able to fill for us because it's not their job. I think that the more clutter you have, the more emotionally susceptible you are, or at least vulnerable you are to certain beliefs about yourself that are not exactly positive. You don't need recycling material all the time. It's just our way of holding on because maybe we think deep down that we won't be able to generate enough resources to live at a certain point, or we'll become unemployed. And it's just, if I was to explain why I love clutter, it would just be fear-based programming from years and years ago that still shows up in my life. And I realized, like, it's not like I've hit rock bottom, but it's just I've tackled with it for so long that it's become a growing mountain. And one thing I did is I started I started recycling it, donating it, and just giving it away, selling some of my stuff, and finding a way to deal with the clutter by taking care of it in an environmentally conscious manner rather than just throwing it all in the garbage. And I know that I can't get rid of everything in one day, but I do need to take those steps. I am committing myself to figuring out a way to at least organize the mess and the chaos, because it has become overwhelmingly a negative experience at this point. It just, you know what? Clutter isn't chaos because there are things in your mind, like themes. Like, for example, like you have themes about a happy ending and what that looks like to you, like family and what love is, and all this good stuff, and your goals and your career or money. And then all these factors, they combine to form this story in your head. And because we don't, like, people who hoard don't know how to express that story, we are expressing it through our stuff. So when you see that stuff, it's almost like unfulfilled dreams. So one thing I would suggest for anybody who is struggling with the same stuff as me is you're looking for a way to, you know, figure out the clutter in your life. Step one, and I'm actually going to write this down because this makes sense to me, is you got to ask yourself, like, what are your unfulfilled dreams? So when I say unfulfilled dreams, I mean, let's say you have like collectible items like sports cards. Maybe you were an athlete, or maybe you like sports when you were younger, but you're older now. Like, maybe you're like maybe you're me, like maybe you're like passed your college years and you've done everything that was required, and now it's time to kind of throw out the stuff that you know need. You could be like you could be 20, 40, 60. You could be like I don't know, 100 years old watching this video, and you could have your clutter just that something like collectible items that if you're not setting it up for the long haul to sell it as a collectibles, and you know for a fact it's never going to make you money, like maybe you're holding on to your old dreams of being an athlete. I don't know, don't ask me that stuff, but I'm just saying that as an example. I hold on to a lot of clothes because like I have unfulfilled dreams. Like I wanted to do a lot of modeling and a lot of like beauty products, and I had a really big interest in fashion, and I still do. But there's a point after which you reach saturation and you don't need all that stuff. So that's what I've been just kind of confirming with me, my unfulfilled dream. Like, not that I want to be a fashion designer, like that was never the goal, but I just had this image in my head that I would have the most glamorous closet. I wanted racks and racks of dresses. I don't know why we get these like impulses and these like desires. I mean, that I guess that's part of the human experience. But what is it like you have? Like, do you have a big DVD collection? Maybe you thought you were gonna be a film director one day and that never worked out. Or maybe you just thought, like maybe I'm gonna have like 5 kids that are gonna love movies and we're gonna watch movies every week. Um, Everybody has these different desires. So you need to look at your clutter. Imagine those things living out into physical reality. What shape would they take? Would they be something like, I don't know, you being an athlete, and maybe you were, I'm not sure, and now you have outlived those days. Maybe you're not as physically active. Maybe you don't have time because of your work. Maybe you're just, I don't know, doing other ventures. So, do you really need those baseball cards to confirm that maybe once upon a time you used to be like, the star of the team? I mean, all the power to you, but maybe you're just holding on to those as a way to affirm your identity. And if you don't have them, you're anxious, or you think that you might lose that identity, which is not a healthy way to look at it at all, because our identity is actually fluid. It's always in motion, and external stuff outside of ourselves does not define our reality or our identity. And if that sounds a little bit hippie-ish to say, but I wish I could say that more, because I'm in the same boat as you and I have clutter. Another reason we have clutter, I think, is the unrepressed desire for social mobility and material wealth. And I think that we've been programmed to only desire one form of success, which is material wealth, whereas we're unable to let go of this desire in order to nurture ourselves and our emotional lives, because somebody when we were younger did not nurture it. And we think that the older we get, the more we are supposed to cut off that part of ourselves. And there's two parts to it. Like, there's one part of me that kind of agrees with that. Like, the corporate go-getter, like, gotta push for results type would think that, yeah, your emotions don't matter. Just gotta push it through and power it through, which is helpful in certain cases. But in order to fully develop as truly a individual with a what sets you apart from other human beings and what gives you life and breath versus what gives other people life and breath, and to not like get crushed and thrown to the dogs and just penciled down into like crushed chalk and grate because of the cycle of production and work life and the 40-hour work week. I think that you have to feed your emotional self, and that's something I have been depriving myself of a long time. Not because just of work obligations or I have bills to pay, but because um we are all in the same boat. We're trying to stay afloat in a comfortable manner. I can be very selfish when it comes to my personal comfort. I crave a certain amount of comfort. So for that, I regularly rely on stuff. But I think that if we do it, the more we do it, the more we get used to it. This tea tastes so good. It's um it's red rose tea. So you can see the tea bag. So the reason I drink tea is because I'm trying to find a certain level of maternal comfort that comes only when you're living in the womb. But unfortunately, our short stay there doesn't last too long. And then we're left craving that feeling every second of our day. And we're not even conscious of it. Well, we do it all the time. Um, this is probably the closest I've been to the womb today, which is this cup of tea, because everything else has been hard and everything else has been crushing and bittersweet. And every day as I grow up, the reality just impounds. How can people spend 90 years on this planet without having these thoughts? I also I also sometimes wonder, like, if if I didn't have this clutter, who would I be? Like, would I be more confident? Would I be happier? Would I not want to reach for the first thing that reminds me of the womb? That's what you got to ask yourself. What kind of person, what kind of person will you be if you didn't rely on stuff? You would probably be more present to your family and your loved ones. You'd be more in tune with their emotions, because you know how you say you didn't get the mirroring as a kid, which a lot of us didn't, but then we can mirror our partner and our family, our kids, our mothers and fathers. We can mirror people that like need that mirroring in order to be satisfied emotionally as well. And once we are not running in emotional depravity, with the symptoms being things such as hoarding or constantly needing some kind of fix and some kind of like addiction that we can um some addiction that we can cure, um we'd be different people. Wouldn't you agree? And wouldn't you want that for yourself and your family? Now, some of you are going to say that you don't live with your family or you don't have good relationships with your family, or whatever your situation is. I'm not sure. And I truly apologize if I couldn't understand. But even for yourself, like in the molasses of life and the hamster wheel of production, your emotions cannot get ricocheted off of you. So stop trying to put them in places they don't belong, like stuff and materialism, and try to find ways to release the ones that don't belong, like the negative ones, like let them go, and then bring in more positive ones, like towards yourself. And in a world where there is just so much pain and heartache and just so much um poverty and suffering, you're going to ask yourself, how can we do that? Well, it starts with us, right? And I've realized that the hard way. Like, I want to save the world, but I'm just so not even organized enough to do that, not just resources wise, but there are self-defense mechanisms at work that are holding me back in my life now because they no longer serve me, and they come from deep-seated trauma, which I have worked past and resolved fully. But we have to do that for ourselves. And the reason I'm making this video is for other people who can kind of connect to this, like the stuff, the hoarding, the inability, the thing that, oh, I'm gonna drown tomorrow if I have nothing left. But you don't. Like, there have been human disasters. People have recovered from Hurricane Katrina. And our human resilience will make us recover, and will make us flourish and prosper as long as we're together and we're not giving up on each other as a human race. And some days it's harder than others. If you do have hoarding as one of your self-defense mechanisms or an addiction, I do suggest, if you can afford it, to seek professional help. Otherwise, there's lots of resources available online. I'm not in no way a medical or professional or psychological expert, but I have been able to not only give myself some reflection, but I've also been able to give you guys the same pointers, and I look forward to this journey that I will be recording and recording my thoughts and feelings on my hoarding and how it's affecting me and my relationships. And I will be recording it and putting it out for the world to see, and I hope that it helps somebody out there. Take care.